All right, so I would like to speak a little about this this map that Scott created, Scott Kiloby. So I want to give credit to Scott. He developed this, and what I appreciate about it is that it doesn't come from like a book or something. It comes from a lot of experience observing himself and observing probably thousands of people. And a lot of the people that came to him were people who were already interested in awakening, in a non-duality, in liberation and all of that. So, and he himself was into that, like you guys and myself. So, so this, yeah, I will, you guys have it. Anyway, everybody who's watching this, probably they are familiar with this. So, first of all, I want to say this is a map of different types of practices, so it's a map of practices. This map of practices is for people who are on this awareness-based teachings. Yeah, so this doesn't apply to, let's say, a monk or to, you know, anyway. So there are other pathways out there, like chanting or various things. So this is applies to awareness-based work. You know, like Advaita Vedanta, Zen, Buddhism, Fourth Way. Where we use awareness, you know, and awareness is a key component. Yeah. So also I want to say that there are other things that are very important to do that are not here, like to eat well, and you know, I'm not going to go into it, but the diet we have, exercise, yoga, stretching. All kind of things, sleeping well, and all kind of bodily conditioning and bodily stuff that are very important. But so I'm not, this map doesn't address that. Yeah, this is focusing on, yeah, awareness-based, using awareness in order to, for the purposes of all these teachings with awareness. The purpose is for awakening to our true nature and liberation from suffering. This is what all the teachings talk about. Okay, now so there are three dimensions. Like first, these dimensions of practices or dimensions of seeing. I will start with the first dimension. And is the top of the thing. So first dimension practices are basically what we have done just now. Watching the breath, witnessing thoughts, using the breath to quiet the mind. Then we started to use like the sounds in the body to be more grounded in the present. So all of this connected to presence, to being aware of the present moment. This is all first dimension practice. Yeah, bear with me. We're doing here a lot of first dimension practices. Other first dimension practices would be like, at some point I asked you guys, okay, come into the body and notice what's happening. And you became aware of something. We didn't know what that is. Maybe there was a tension, a heaviness. We don't know what it is, but we are aware of it. And we are being with what is, being present to what is, not trying to change it, not trying to resist it, being with what is. If there's resistance, we watch the resistance and we allow it. Yeah, so this is all. Quality of first dimension practices is that this thing, like, just bring awareness to what we are aware here and staying in the now. all meditation techniques that are not stirring anything. So first dimension is that you are not opening the hood. You are not opening what's actually underneath. You are just very present to what is here, which for 99% of humanity, that is already very advanced, because for a regular person, not on a spiritual path, we are checked out, we are checked out. There's no dimensional practice. We are lost in thought, we are dreaming, we are identified, there's no awareness, yeah? So first dimensional practice is already very important, and we need to jumpstart it, all these efforts to remember oneself, effort to come back to the present, and all of this that we talked over and over, this is all first dimensional practice. Even these things like, what am I? Even things like, what am I? And pointing, at some point in the meditation, after we were aware of these thoughts, feelings, sensations, I was trying to point to, hey, there's this awakeness here. Okay, this is also here. So that will be more like the ultimate gain of this first dimension practices would be that the mind will quiet down, there's less thoughts, and then we may realize that there is this presence. That will be the ultimate gain of first dimensional practice. Also these things like neti, like, am I this contraction? Am I this thought? Am I this memory? Or am I that which is aware of it? Oh yeah, I'm not this goes. You guys know, so I'm just telling briefly. All of this is noticing, bring awareness here and noticing what is here without trying to get rid of it and going deeper into that. Okay, this is without this kind of stuff, we are just in the mind doing ego self-development or ego therapy, or so the map may seem as if that this is like, this is nothing. This is just the first dimension, but the first dimension is the foundational, and without the first dimension, it's very hard to go any deeper. Now, if you guys see, here there's like a little circle, and it says that this is the visible conscious landing, where you land here. And so the disadvantage about just this first dimensional practice is that there are many things lurking in there that we are not aware of, basically. And the things that are lurking in there that we are not aware of, they are there. It says shadows, chronic pain, like I have this ongoing tension somewhere, or ongoing contraction and heaviness in my chest, and there are triggers, like I'm peaceful now in the meditation, but then somebody says something, my girlfriend says something, I was like, I'm going to get triggered. So those are hiding somehow, the addictions, the depression, anxiety, all this stuff, they are hiding, and you can meditate, and actually if you are serious about it and dedicated, you can reach like some peaceful state. And you may reach also a state where it feels like very peaceful and loving and blissful. It can be blissful, and it can be also very quietness of mind if you're really serious about this, and a sense of there's this presence, and then I'm good, man, and that all those went away, all those things, they left me. And so So the shortcoming of the first dimension is that there are stuff that are creating suffering, they're hiding. We don't get to it. Yeah, so we are landing there. Also, even this thing in the chest, it shows up as a sensation, but actually it's more into it. It's much more, it's not just a sensation. We are just the method, just witness and allow and be present to it, is not sufficient enough to start to open what's deeper underneath. It's a little bit like, you know, you are seeing what's happening, but there's a lot of stuff underneath what you're seeing, what's happening.
The tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, the iceberg, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if we stay just with those things, although they are amazing benefits, we are not going to the root of our suffering. We are not even getting to know, even like not even the root, but the stem. We don't know what's happening, and we are in a perpetual, oh, I'm peaceful now, and then I'm getting triggered. I don't know why I'm triggered, man. I should meditate more, and I'm back now. I lost it, you know. So there is this, it's like ongoing. I have to go to. It's like a kind of practice or something, like a yoga, consciousness yoga. It's like a little bit better, but then I need to do it again. And a dangerous aspect of these teachings also, these teachings, as the way came to the West, they were, most of them, from a big body of knowledge, you know. Non-duality and direct path was after years of other practices. So in the West, somehow the West cherry-picked this, like, oh, this is it, and then this is it, and then everything else doesn't matter. This is the ultimate, and somehow, yeah, the pitfall and the danger is to think that that is enough. To just do that is enough. And actually that can be very convincing, especially if the people who are saying that are very wise sages, that are somehow, they are very liberated and they are very super deep and awake, and they are saying, hey, that's an illusion. Don't worry about it. That's not who you are. That's not real. That's not real. So all of these like pointers, yeah, that's not real. This is an illusion. That's not you. That comes and goes. That's the separate self. Although those pointers are absolutely true, they are very true. It's not that it's false. Somehow we are taking it as like some program like this, and it's like, it's almost like stops further investigation, you know. It's problematic. All right, so, and what's hiding underneath, we are not getting to. Actually, you can do, and I know many people, and I was one of them, all this awareness all day, every day, awareness when I walk, awareness when I do all these things, and awareness, and I didn't even know there was a bunch of deficiency stories I had. I was running all kind of programs of hiding, of feeling better than other people, feeling superior, at the same time feeling that I'm not good enough, and feeling that I can't be vulnerable, and then I would hide without even knowing, and all of this false shit. There was all this false subconscious thing happening, and while I was just staying with the power of now and observing now and coming back to now, you know. Okay. Second, so a short thing would be that in the first dimension, we don't prompt the subconscious. We don't. We are at best witnessing what is, on the top of the iceberg, and the ultimate best, we discovered that there is presence and that I am that, which is, from one angle, this is like very, very, very deep state. Okay. However, if we don't go a little deeper, those realizations or those deep states, we are going to lose them. Because there is all of these energies of the pain body, all this shit that we are going to identify with. It's like an athlete who develops a muscle somewhere, but it's like it's very weak in many other areas. Someone very weak. Okay, so now what Scott, and again, this is Scott, but also other teachings there. Okay, second dimensional practice is that, okay, you have this first dimension, you have this understanding that I need to witness and allow, yeah? But second dimension is that I'm starting to identify what is there hiding. And we discover our core programs, like deficiency story identities, like I'm unworthy, I am not good enough, I am some kind of personal identity of sorts, I am unsafe, I'm broken, I'm alone, I'm unlovable, which are not just thoughts. This is like a whole part, is some kind of identity, which is much, it creates a lot of suffering, basically. Also, we are discovering, all of this. If you see on the left, we discover deficiency stories, we discover hidden emotions, and the practices connected with the second dimensions are things like this kind of being aware, mining, mining. If this thing if this tension were to say something, what would it say? So mining, becoming aware of this pain body hidden in the body and seeing what it says, memories. So trying to explore these things from awareness. We've done last time shadow work, like, okay, I'm triggered by this guy, so I'm aware now in the first dimension that I'm triggered. I'm triggered, I'm angry, but I don't know what I'm angry actually about. The boomerang, okay, this situation, what evokes in me? I can't be myself, they want to change me, or what, I'm triggered because it reminds me of somebody who betrayed me, or I am triggered by that they are vain because I'm vain and I don't like this about myself. So shadow work, this Mankind project, this is some type of second dimension. The difficulty is with some Mankind project is that there's not enough first dimension. So it's hard to see this hidden stuff. We are not very aware, So tools from the second dimension would be in KI, would be all this mining, utility inquiry. What do I get out of believing this? Oh yeah, I get that I get to avoid intimacy. What do I get? I am trying to be safe. These are programs from childhood. So all of these things with reverse inquiry. I can fully be myself. So, I'm meditating here and it's all good. But then if I do this, I can fully be myself as a probe, then it will come all kind of stuff for many of us. No, I have to be careful. So reverse inquiry, utility inquiry, mining, boomerang.
What's the VI?
What?
VI.
VI. Yeah, VI is you're not familiar with this. VI is vulnerability inquiry is like, let's say, I'm feeling a little bit of sorts. Not sure what I'm feeling, but I'm upset or something. So then I'm like, I bring up, let's say, okay, something happened today. Oh yeah, something happened with your girlfriend, or somebody, your ex-girlfriend said something, or somebody said something, and I bring her up. So instead of just meditating and, you know, I bring her up, I feel I'm hitting this fire, and then VI is a form of reverse inquiry. I say this, I'm not angry or hurt. I'm not at all angry or hurt. And then if I am, it will be like, no, I am angry. Yeah, I'm fucking pissed. I'm pissed. Yeah. So it's like a reverse inquiry to bring out more emotion. Yeah. What's the emotions there? Yeah. It could be, we have different stuff. I'm not sad about that. No, I am sad actually. I'm sad. So now the emotion comes out from the iceberg more to the surface. Yeah. So that's VI. A lot of the regular KI that we've been doing here, actually, most of it that you've done with me is kind of second dimension work. Also, any of you, when we're doing Hakomi, somatic, awareness-based, you know, there's this memory, and what does this memory mean? And when was the first time you felt this? Let this thing here take you some time in the past. And oh yeah, it's my grandmother or something. And my father caught me masturbating and slapped me. This is real. I had it today. It wasn't with me, but I had it with somebody today. This like hidden in this trigger. So now this image comes. Like he slapped me, beat me. I was 6. Okay, and so what does this mean? Well, because sexual is dangerous. It's dangerous. I'm bad. I'm bad. Yeah. So that these are evocative, opening the image. You know, with me, I had this thing, or my grandma, like, you know, put in. What does it mean? I'm alone. Love died. Yeah. So all of these are second dimension practices. We are starting to unpack our suffering rather than in the first dimension. We say, well, this is the separate self. It's an illusion. Just let go of the sense of separation. The teacher says, just this is an illusion. You need to see that this is an illusion, and you just need to let it go. Just now. Okay. And maybe if the teacher is really enlightened, in the presence of the teacher, you will be like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I get it. And I let it go. I do let it go. I'm not saying that, but however, it's going to come back, and then I didn't let it go. You know what I mean? Okay, so all of these practices are going deeper. And also this establishing the mind-body connection. We've done a lot of this. Well, this thing, what does it say? It says, I'm alone. And this sadness, like I'm sad because it is over. It's over. So we are becoming aware of both the mental and the emotional aspect. Yeah. So this is much more useful to add on top of the first dimension. I'm not saying not to do the first dimension, because without the first dimension practices, then we can't really do the second dimension so well. Okay, so.
What's NSR modality?
You know, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was just looking at this map today. I mean, I don't know what he meant by that. I probably know, but I don't know what this NSR modality is. Yeah. So now what they say here, they say in the first dimension, it's safer to stay with the here and now. It's safer to, I see myself, sometimes I go and there's something of sorts, but I go to Zazen. I just do Zazen. I just sit. And it does calm it, but I don't get to the roots of it. So it's safer to stay. It's safer than to go and open the hood. So there is a more sense of safety than to go into the pain.
What's the unfindability inquiries? I don't remember that.
Yeah, unfindability inquiry is something that Scott did before develop KI, and it is very much like Ramana and Muji, but it's more like the client says, "Hey, I'm not good enough, man. I'm not good enough. I'm not," and then so I'm like, "Okay, well, close your eyes. You're not good enough, yeah? Okay. Where do you feel this?" Well, yeah, I don't know. I just feel it. I feel it here, man. Okay. I'm not good enough. It's in there. Okay. Can you just stay with it? Allow it? Is it big, small? Yeah, it's more like this. It's okay. The question is, can you find the one that is not good enough? Can you?
Once you start, you might.
I'm like, well, yeah, it's in the belly. Oh, okay. Are you that thing in the belly? Or are you that which is aware of the thing in the belly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of it. Oh, so what's in the belly? Oh, it's a sensation. Okay. It's kind of releases a bit. Or like, well, but yeah, but I still feel I'm not good enough though. Okay, where? Well, I don't know, I have this thing, go like, well, okay. Oh yeah, this memory when my father, when I did this Lego thing, and I said, Daddy, look, and he was like, this is nothing, and he smashed it. Okay, and realize, can you stay with this image? He smashed it, stay with this image. This image, what does it mean? I'm not good enough. Okay, this image. Are you this image? No. Okay. So you're trying to find this I, and actually, if you're doing it well, you won't find it. You find the sensation, you find the memory that we identify with, and it kind of, some degree of, yeah, it deconstructs it, but not enough. Doesn't deconstruct it enough. Okay, so I think honestly we haven't done much as a group work here. We haven't done much third dimension. We haven't done much third dimension practices, so we can safely say that this circle of being, shadow work that we have done at the very best, circle of being, shadow work as a group, was doing this thing. First dimension, second dimension is actually very good because many they don't. So, all right. So now we are in this ocean of, oh wow, there are these programs, and yeah, I know they are not me, but it's really painful, and these memories and the meanings, and so we are unpacking the subconscious. And the more we do this, many of them, some of them loosen up a lot. I like, oh wow, actually this is bullshit, man. I'm okay. It's not true. I could see that. So as we are doing second dimension work, some of them, they kind of like fizzles out, and we are becoming much more freer from certain lies. And we really see those things. And we also, there's some type of trauma or some lighter pains or lighter things, it can be really heavy stuff. We also start to allow these deep feelings. We are getting into the feeling, we allow it. So this is very awesome stuff. Okay, now the thing is that the pitfall of the second dimension, and the idea is that there's something more there now. So I haven't done it much in group because it seems like we're still a lot to do in the second dimension. Anyway, okay. So the third dimension is that basically all of the agitation and the restlessness and the busy mind we notice in the first dimensional practices, the busy mind, and like I'm uncomfortable and I am contracted, And then we find out I'm unsafe, I'm unlovable, I have to hide, I can't let a woman close, it's not safe to love, whatever, all of these programs, we all have different ones. So all of these actually, they are coming from a deeper layer. Actually, there is a deeper layer of where it all started. And what we discover in the second dimension, like the deficiency stories, the strategic adaptation, I have to be funny now, I have people like me, and all of this, like the whole false self that we know more now, and we are honing into it. We are like, yeah, I see it, and yeah, I'm working with it, I'm processing it. Okay, all of those actually, they are like the branches, and the branches of something that happened, that developed later. So the third dimension is like we are more going out to the roots of the suffering, to the very roots, where we have, in the third dimension, we are, the practices are connected to processing trauma, just processing trauma energy, trauma, as well as repression. Repression is linked to trauma or to a certain environment somehow. Very early on, without having thoughts, something happened. Like something happened, either abandonment or separation from the provider, or there was chaos in the house, and people shouting all the time. Or mommy was depressed and daddy was drunk, or could be really, it doesn't have to be intense stuff. For a baby, just somebody being afraid or mommy being absent, this is very impactful, So, and there's something happened then. Also, then we get this transmission of like some osmosis, like some of the core programs of our parents. Don't believe me this, but I found with people and myself, when I go there, there's something says don't feel. Okay, so we talked before about trauma commands, maybe, and I worked with some of you one-on-one. In one-on-one with some of you, with many of you, we have done third dimension work. We went into third dimension a little bit. So that's more like the deepest shit, basically, and you guys know it when it gets there, because it has a different flavor. There's some like deepest sense of hurt, woundedness, shock, as well as this sense of that, based on the trauma, I couldn't, now I can't be myself now. So it's not okay to, these are words, but don't feel sadness, shut it down, don't show sadness, don't share anger. So there's repression, this element of repression of self, repression of the emotional body, which came as a result of trauma, as a result of osmosis, because my father, something happened to him, and then he developed this thing to be strong and to not feel and to not show. Yeah, and so I got it too. Yeah. I think some of you went to the Kiloby last workshop. So now just bear with me a little bit, but so we discovered that underneath the deficiency story, this or that, there are these commands, which is either a trauma command or a repression command, which is some very short phrase, which is not a thought. It's like hide. We are not aware of it, but it governs our behavior. Those who have hiding. Be nice. So this avoid conflict. Just be nice. Hold back. Be good. Don't trust. Be quiet. Don't express. These are like very. It's not like a big story there. It's like, and so this was how our operating system, our ego, was imprinted with these ones first. Hide. Don't feel. I'm afraid, but I check out, be careful. And this was first. And then it came like, oh, I'm unlovable. I'm not good enough. Actually, the very fact that what Scott noticed is that if one goes to the third dimension, and the third dimension is more like pure emotion. It's pure emotion. No story. We already processed the story. Yes, we know. Is you go underneath the I'm unlovable, I'm alone, I don't trust, I'm unworthy. We go underneath them, and there is like, really, it is like that. I mean, it's like a 3-year-old. It's a 4-year-old. It's like. No, really. I mean, it is like I notice it myself. I notice other people all the time. If we get there, with most people, we can't get there because in a regular session, you don't have time. You have to take some 40 minutes to kind of slow it down. And so, you know, but I think many of you have experienced that. Okay, so what Scott discovered, and I discovered too, if we are able to skillfully go there and process at the deepest layer, some of the deepest emotions, those deepest emotions, they are fueling the deficiency identity. And by processing those old feelings, the deficiency story is starved. Yes, it's more like, oh, whatever, man. And yeah, because I couldn't, you know, if somebody is this like very scary and I'm slapped and I'm shocked, so now I have to be good all the time. So it's not an option to be angry, now, ever. So then now I'm good and I'm avoiding conflict. And then people tell me what to do and they put my boundaries and girls tell me this. And I'm like, I have this, like, stay safe, be careful, stay safe, don't say, hide. That's operating and the deep trauma and fear underneath. On a conscious level, I will feel that there is something wrong with me. I will feel that I'm not good enough. I'm less than. But if I take this person gradually and they start to fuck you, but not just express one time, somehow to undo this thing and allow the anger or allow the sadness, allow the hatred, allow the fear, then they are suddenly like, hey man, I'm good actually. You know, so yeah. Okay, so the limitations of the second dimension, of the second. Yeah, I wanted to give you a bit of an explanation of what's the third dimension as compared to the second dimension. But the limitation of just staying with the second dimension is that we keep defaulting, as they say, we land. It's safer unconscious landing. We are defaulting into, oh yeah, you see, I'm bad, or I'm alone, I'm bad, I'm unworthy. Yeah, but I don't matter. Yeah, I've done all this work and I meditate and I do ayahuasca and I process a lot, but I still feel a little bit that I'm bad, or that I don't matter, or that I'm alone. So somehow we default and land on the core limiting belief and the feeling. We are staying there. Also, that type of second dimensional work is not enough to, we may not undo the repression. There's this repression that becomes for many of us contractions, chronic pains, diagnosis, like how it was for Scott and other people, maybe online here, or they know some kind of ongoing somatic thing that is not going to, we are not getting to the roots of it through just shadow work and the mining and the deficiency story and feeling a little bit. We need to get, yeah. So the third dimension is the one that actually discharges those energies and liberates the emotional body. So I can cry, I can be pissed, I can hate, I can feel joy, I can love. Yes.
I think that, you know, what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of shit in the second dimension. And when people are like deep in shadow work and learning to use like the reverse inquiries and actually like becoming attuned to their emotions and start to feel things again, you know, like there's so much in that section right there that is like enlightening based on the fact that we're aware of our addictions and our shadows and our triggers, and you know, like that playful like integration between those two is already so like fulfilling and like eye-opening and scary and fucking like so many things happening all at once. You know, it's like to move into the third dimension almost seems like I'm gonna need to sit in the second dimension for a while until I feel like my shadow's integrated, you know. Like for me, that was a big part of it, was like realizing like the vastness of what was holding me back and what was keeping me fucking down. And like, you know, there's a period of time where like you should relish in the work that you've done. And like, also like, I think it's important when you're working with a facilitator that that facilitator like encourages you to keep going, because like we can find shadow everywhere. We can find triggers anywhere. Like there needs to be like, you know, like this map is great, but I think that it's like super important to reiterate that like you should be working with a facilitator to like help you work through this stuff, because where I sit is like, you can keep digging like forever until, you know, like before this map was out and before the circle app was a thing, like Scott was pretty much like, you could pretty much sit forever like mining out all the shit, you know. And it's like there was no talk of this third dimensional stuff, and like I'm lucky that I got in when I did, because I understand a lot of this. And it's like it you know, it's like I like this are safer than, you know, because it means that like, you know, you're gonna have to fucking dig harder. You're gonna have to dig more to get to this liberated state that is this fear awareness like juxtaposition at the bottom, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think that for me, the second dimension was like where I fell apart, you know, like where I truly just surrendered into the work, and it's easy to like just get lost in that, you know. So it's important to find someone to like encourage you along and to like find your growth points and point out your points where you've, you know, avoided, you know, like certain things. So I just wanted to share that with the group, that it's, you know, it's really important to work with someone that is trained in this work, because it's easy to get lost in it. And marking, you know, your points along the road, like when you catch yourself in these, aware of your shadow, aware of these things, like it's important to like put a pin in that on the board and be like, I fucking did that, you know, like, and mark your path and just mark your work and just keep going, you know. Introduce one third dimensional technique, you know, ask for help, you know, like at a time until you're fully integrated into it. But Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to say, like, the second dimension is so thick.
Yeah, so I want to totally agree with you, and then also I want to speak some more, and then we can open the discussion just because I'm recording this. But I totally agree with him. Basically, the second dimension is so rich, and we are now really getting into our pain body skillfully, methodically, and it can be liberating, and just working with someone for some time there can have major changes in one's life and major changes behavior, and it's very and it's a lot in there. It's a lot in there, so it is it's good to be thorough there. Actually, when Scott developed this thing, like he initially called it like there's level 1, level 1 KI, and then level 2 KI, or let's say more like beginner, and then inter and more advanced. The level 1 KI involved the awareness practices, developing the ability to feel and not to freak out, and doing all of this deficiency story, reverse inquiry, processing some trauma. So the level 1 was first dimension and second dimension. And then, so the level 2, now they are, I don't think they are level 2s, but so, yeah, the idea is that as one does the second dimension work, one becomes more comfortable with the demons, basically. And I'm like, hey, okay, that was really scary and that was intense, but I'm okay. And actually, I'm much more free now. And I trust myself. I can take this heat. Also, your nervous system is getting more enhanced in some ways. So you're not freezing or, you're not flooding. Yeah, so you can bring. You also have learned some nervous system regulation techniques. So when it gets too much, then you can tone it down. And anyway, so yeah. So as one gets more skilled in the second dimension, then actually there are some techniques in the second dimension like VI and various things like I want to feel this. It's okay. So this kind of emotional stuff. It's okay to feel this. I don't need to get rid of this. I'm not sad. I'm sad. Also, this body-mind mirroring, which is more like a newer tool. Like I feel something in the body, and I'm aware that in the circle of being here, I feel like there's still some important second dimension practices that I haven't focused a lot on, because also there were new people, so that already will be too advanced for some newer persons. So I'm trying to find how to do this. But things like this, this body-mind mirroring, I'm feeling something, it says I'm alone, and to shoot it back into I'm alone, as I'm aware. So this kind of tools that gets it more edgy and go straight for the emotion and allowing it. I don't need to get rid of this. It's okay to feel and allow this. These inquiries are diminishing suppression and ability to feel. So this prepares more for the third dimension. So in the third dimension, we are starting to identify our trauma commands or our repression commands. And also, I notice with people, if they have a lot of strong deficiency stories, it's not going to go so well to go to the third dimension. It's too much stuff needs to be loosened up some more. And the person needs to also learn more how to feel and allow. So there's no rush to go to the third dimension. There's a lot there. But at the same time, if some people, they've already done, they've seen these things, they have seen, then it's awesome that there is this way to go a little bit deeper. And also, you can't do third dimension work by yourself. And I'm relatively new, me, as doing third dimension work on me. So, but the more I did it, I'm like, oh shit, oh my God, he's right, Scott is right. And so Yeah, so in the third dimension practice, we are just now working with the trauma and the feelings now, the emotions, yeah, and checking to see which discovering was my primary repression, my primary emotion that was the least allowed, and the ones that I'm the least aware. In this kind of territory, these things are dynamic because, you know, initially I thought, oh, I have this good boy. I had anger repression. As I did more work, I could see, oh no, sadness, man, sadness all the time. So it's like sadness was not allowed. So that actually, whenever I broke up, I didn't feel anything. And then it creates all this weird stuff. And then I'm like, oh my God, no, there's fear. So there are, you know, there are different feelings. And also in spiritual literature, they say that, I mean, ultimately, so these are the red thing. Ultimately, at the bottom of it, there's fear. So there's existential fear, fear of disappearance, fear of this, but there's also this fear of feeling. I'm afraid to feel this. I'm afraid to go there. I'm afraid. And so as I started to go deeper into this, and Scott was also working with Scott and being in his team, he would be like, hey, try this, do this with people. Try this, do that, you'll see. And do this all yourself whenever you have craving, when you have a thing, go to the emotion. And I was like, oh, okay. So I trusted, and I trusted based on verification, so I could see that it's right. So I myself started for some time to go beyond I noticed that all this hide, what emotion is behind that I have to hide? I'm afraid. Why? To avoid conflict. I'm afraid. Why not feel this? I'm afraid to feel this sadness, this abandonment. What is that? It's a mixture of sadness, shock, terror. I'm afraid. So definitely, if one has a strong addiction, that the way to go is actually as soon as the deficiency identities are loosened up, to go into the repression work. So I just more talk generally here. Yeah. Anyway, so this is like an attempt for me to slow down what Scott is very excited about, and I'm really happy that this is like it's a map of progression. And I'm aware some people come to me, they have done a lot of work, all kind of other work. I don't know what they've done. They're already aware of various things. So I can sometimes, especially people that come to me from Scott, we can go straight in the third dimension sometimes. But at the same time, you can't. You need to know the programs. Yeah. So it's almost like I want to mine out something 300 meters down underneath. I need to go to what's the kind of gas and poisonous toxins which are 300 yards underneath the ground. I have to do the first 100 meters and then the next second 100, to go third 100. So also these are not like so linear, in one session we can go and this or that.
What is IRF?
Intentional
So
rapid
let
fire.
me stop this here in terms of the recording.
Intentional